Hello, my name is Naching T. Kassa, and I'm a Crystal Lake author. Today I'm going to read to you from Dark Tide 11, Sherlock Holmes and the Arcana of Madness. I'm going to read to you chapter 1 from my story, The Riddle of the Red Tower. It's called The Ghost. A dense fog had settled over London that icy October of 1890, the kind which lends itself to the aid of dark villains and evil deeds. A desperate plea in the form of a young boy had sent me out into the gloom. He had led me into the East End and the cobbled streets of Whitechapel under the flickering gaslit street lamps. Here I considered the fiend who had once prowled the alleys and byways, the Ripper who had never been caught. And I must confess that every scream of laughter, every shout, sent a chill to my very marrow. The boy, one who seemed strangely familiar, led me to a shabby lodging house and a room on the second floor. There I found a man lying upon a thin mattress. Clad in beggar's rags, his beard and hair unkempt, the fellow struck me as one of those poor indigents so plentiful in the East End. Imagine my surprise when he took my hand and called me by name. "Do you know me, Watson?" "Yes." "I'll warrant you do not. It has been a long while since our time at Blackheath." I leaned closer to the man. Large, blue, feverish eyes peered up at me from a pale face, and though his hair had prematurely grayed, I recognized him immediately. "Ponsonby? Jonathan Ponsonby, dear fellow!" "Good old Watson. When I learned you were a doctor and I had need of one, I sent the boy to you right away. Give him this coin, will you? I promised it to him if he would fetch you." Honest Ponsonby handed me a gold sovereign, and I gave it to the lad. He tipped his hat and hurried from the room. "You are ill, my friend," I said. "Let me fetch someone," and he shook his head, and a spasm of coughing overcame him. When it finally passed, he lay gasping upon the mattress. "No, Watson, there's no time. You know I am dying." He turned his gaze to the ceiling. "And I know he will not come here." "Who?" "A dead man. A ghost." I pressed my hand to Ponsonby's brow. He chuckled, and another spasm of coughing overcame him. "I am not delirious, old man. Not yet," he said at last. "There is a ghost. He followed me for months until I hid here among the beggars. It seems he is a particular spirit." "And this a strange mystery," I replied. "Which is why I sent for you. I am in need of your friend, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. It seems I am to have no peace in life, and only he can grant it to me after death. You must bring him at once." "There is no need," a voice called from the doorway. I turned to find a tall man dressed as a workman entering the room. Ginger hair protruded from beneath his soft cap. My guide, the boy, stood at his side. I rose to my feet, positioning myself between the intruder and Ponsonby. But before I could say a word, the workman removed his cap and wig. Sherlock Holmes stood before me. "Hello, Watson," Holmes said, smiling at my astonishment. "Holmes, what are you doing here? You remember Smith here, do you not?" I peered at the boy, who seemed so familiar, and at last the memory came to me. "Why, he is one of your irregulars." The boy, one of the many ragamuffins which served as the ears and eyes of Sherlock Holmes in the London streets, winked. "He has been watching Mr. Ponsonby since yesterday," Holmes continued. "When the gentleman sent him to fetch you, the boy came to fetch me first." "You were looking for me?" Ponsonby asked. Holmes crossed to the dying man and knelt beside him. "Your wife has commissioned my services. She fears for your safety." "As I fear for hers. I can never go back. He will kill us both if I do." Ponsonby tried to rise, but the effort drained the strength from him and sent him into another fit of coughing. He pressed a soiled handkerchief to his mouth. It came away stained with blood. "He cannot remain like this," I said to Holmes in a low tone. "He is suffering from consumption and is in dire need of a hospital." "No!" the dying man cried. "No, he will find me there, and if he cannot extract the secret from me, he will punish her. He swore he would. He warned us all." "All?" Holmes said, leaning forward. "Who is this man, and whom did he threaten?" "He knows we've taken it. He searches for it, and if he cannot find it, he will kill those who know of it." He moaned then, a piteous sound, and reached into the pocket of his filthy coat to withdraw a parcel wrapped in a silk handkerchief. "This will explain all that I cannot. It contains a secret, one the ghost covets. Do not tell anyone I gave it to you. Let him think I died with it. Let him believe it lost forever." Ponsonby gave a great shuddering breath then, one which rattled in his chest. Once a large and boisterous man, he lay pale and shrunken in death. Holmes took the parcel from his hand and slipped it into the pocket of his coat. He then reached beneath the mattress and removed Ponsonby's purse. "I shall return this to Mrs. Ponsonby. No doubt she will need it for the undertaker. Will you accompany me, Watson? I must inform the lady of what has transpired, and I would find your company most helpful." "I should be happy to." Holmes took the key from the lock, and we stepped out. I took a last look at the rooms of the unfortunate man and sighed. Poor Ponsonby. We were great friends when we played rugby at Blackheath. It was sad to see him so haunted. "The human mind is far more frightening than any ghost," Holmes replied, shutting the lock and locking the door. "Other than your time at Blackheath, what do you know of him?" "You would not expect it of such an athletic chap, but he was a fine artist. I believe he became a painter, though it seems he was somewhat unsuccessful." Holmes smiled. "Do not judge him by his current circumstances, old fellow. A few months ago he resided in Hampstead, and his paintings sold well." We descended the stairs and stepped out into the fog-swirled street. It seemed the world had grown darker and colder since I had entered the lodging-house. Holmes hailed a hansom cab, and we soon found ourselves on the way to Hampstead and the former home of Jonathan Ponsonby. When we arrived, it was past 9 o'clock. Holmes knocked upon the door, and a stout woman carrying a lantern peered out. "Mr. Holmes?" she asked. She eyed me with apparent mistrust. "Who is this gentleman?" "This is my friend and colleague, Dr. Watson, Mrs. Tolliver. I have news for your mistress." Her expression grew grim. "Is it bad news, sir? It must be if you're here at this late hour. Well, best come in. I'll let the lady know you're here." The housekeeper took our coats and led us to the drawing-room, where a small fire burned upon the hearth. 2 chairs sat before it. I took one of them and Holmes the other. He gazed into the dying flames, whilst I studied the room. It was not what I had expected. Holmes had assured me of Ponsonby's wealth, but the state of the man had led me to believe him close to destitution. The drawing-room dispelled all such notions. A rich Persian rug covered the floor, and paintings, many by masters, adorned the walls. A photograph of 3 children, 2 girls and a boy, occupied a place of honor on the mantel. All of the furnishings denoted wealth and taste, a far cry from the man who now lay in a run-down lodging-house in the East End. The housekeeper had departed, but returned not a moment later. She was accompanied not by the lady, but by a middle-aged gentleman with short-cropped hair, dressed in a dark coat and silk hat. His gaze fell upon Holmes, and his thin face grew pale. "Forgive me," he said, "but are you Mr. Sherlock Holmes?" "I am he," my friend replied, rising, "though I am afraid you have the advantage of me. Other than the fact that you are right-handed, are a doctor, are at times forgetful, smoke cheroots, and have visited Mrs. Ponsonby this afternoon, I know nothing of you." The fellow's eyes grew wide. However could you have known that?" "You've written reminders to yourself on the cuff of your left sleeve and forgotten to remove your stethoscope from round your neck. This speaks to the fact that you're both forgetful and a doctor. Since the writing is on your left, you are right-handed." "But how did you know I had been here this afternoon?" "As I mentioned before, you smoke cheroots. I can tell by this tobacco stain on the middle finger of your right hand. Cigarettes do not leave this particular stain. I also discovered a half-finished cheroot in the fireplace. Mrs. Tolliver is a conscientious housekeeper and would never allow the fireplace to go a day without cleaning. Therefore, you had to have come this afternoon and not the day before." The gentleman smiled as though relieved. "For a moment I thought myself in the company of yet another clairvoyant." "Another?" "My patient said you would be here and that I should go to see you. Though he has astonished me on many an occasion, I was positively floored by his prediction this evening." "Patient?" I asked. "Then you are a doctor?" Where are my manners? It is as you said, Mr. Holmes. I am quite forgetful. My name is Dr. Cyril Clemens. I am the Deputy Superintendent of Broadmoor Criminal Lunatic Hospital. Dr. Clemens, said I. You were trained by Dr. Seward of the Seward Asylum. That is correct, sir, Clemens said. You ever heard of me? Only in the pages of the Lancet. The smile faded from the man's lips. You are a doctor? I am Dr. John Watson, yes. Mr. Holmes's biographer, were you a friend of Jonathan Ponsonby? I was. Then it is true, it is all true. He withdrew a folded page from his pocket, all the while swaying as though he might faint. I rushed to his side and helped him to a chair. I must apologize, Clemens said. I have been under a great strain of late. I have never believed in the supernatural until now, and it has left me a bit shaken. Holmes glanced up at me, then at the superintendent. You spoke of a clairvoyant when we first met. Perhaps you could elaborate? It would seem I have no choice. Before another word could be said, Mrs. Tolliver arrived with the lady of the house. Mrs. Ponsonby was a tall, graceful beauty, with hair the color of jet. She wore a dress of claret hue, and it pained me to think that she would soon trade it for the widow's weeds. Dr. Clemens and I rose as she entered. He stepped forward and took her by the hand. I did not expect you until tomorrow, Cyril, he said. I am sorry, Emma. It was not my intention to come so late. I was told I should come. He handed her the folded page. The lady did not unfold nor peer at what he had given her. Instead, she looked to my friend. You have news for me, Mr. Holmes? Have you discovered the whereabouts of my husband? I have. Clemens reached for her arm. She clutched it with her free hand. And? He is no more. He succumbed to consumption not an hour ago. Though tears filled the lady's eyes, she did not waver as Clemens had earlier. I feared as much. Where is he? In Whitechapel. I'd hoped he'd go to South Sea. It would have been far better for his illness. She turned again to the doctor. This page, did it come from Roger? Clemens nodded. He said you should have it tonight and open it in the presence of Mr. Holmes and Dr. Watson. He said if you show them, they might believe. Who is this person of whom you speak? Holmes asked. He is a patient of mine, Clemens replied. His name is Roger Thomas. The lady crossed to a nearby table and unfolded the sheet with some care. She set it upon the surface and stepped back. A charcoal drawing had been sketched upon the white page. The reader should know that I am not an authority on art, and that Holmes, a descendant of Vernet's sister, might find my assessment plebeian at best, though even his evaluation of the Dutch masters is somewhat crude. However, when I laid my eyes upon Thomas's sketch, I found it to be the finest I had ever seen. The scene had been depicted in such careful detail that were it not for the strokes of charcoal, I might have believed the picture to be a photograph instead of a sketch. At the center, a bearded man lay upon a thin mattress, clad in a worn coat. 2 men attended him. Holmes, I whispered. Yes, Watson, Holmes replied. It is Ponsonby, and we are standing above him. And that is chapter 1 of Dark Tide 11, Sherlock Holmes and the Arcana of Madness. Please check it out. Thank you.